Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under with another episode of free-to-play games of 2020, your number one news source for new and upcoming free-to-play games. The previous episode of this series has over 125,000 views, which is absolutely insane. And if you guys want more videos on free-to-play games and more top 10s on free-to-play games, make sure to go and subscribe right now. Only 20% of you guys are subscribed to the channel, so if you don't want to miss out on any of those new videos, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's start out with some exciting news about a game that definitely went under my radar, that being the new Trackmania game that is now live on the Epic Games Store. Released on the 2nd of July, Trackmania 2020 is absolutely gorgeous and is by far the best looking title in the series. While the gameplay is amazing too, it does stay true to its roots. Fast Formula 1 cars, insane tracks, and an addiction to getting the best time possible. The Starter Access, otherwise known as the free-to-play version, gives you the full racing experience with regular seasons along with solo and online progression. However, if you want to create tracks, compete in competitions, and access the social hub, you gotta pay up. Overall, that is a very fair system, especially since the gameplay is not behind any paywalls. Definitely check it out if you're interested. A quick mention has to be said to Merc.Zone, an up-and-coming browser-based first-person shooter that is definitely a lot of fun to play. Stylized and simple graphics keep the system requirements extremely low, but the gameplay is top-notch and fast-paced, with a few classes to go and choose from. I'm a big fan of browser-based.io games, and I talk about them a bit on this channel, but this game definitely caught my eye and I wanted to go and showcase it to the greater free-to-play community. Also guys, if you're wondering how I get such high FPS in this game, the browser that I'm using is called Brave and it's my number one choice to get high FPS in browser games. While I'm not sponsored by these guys, if you download Brave browser using my link in the description below, it helps out the channel a ton. And if you guys are already using Brave browser and earning free money by watching ads, then feel free to go and tip me some bat. It's by far the best way to support the channel. Next up, we've got some exciting news about the latest offering in the first-person shooter battle royale department, and that's Hyperscape. Last time we talked about Hyperscape, it was just going into open beta, which turned out to be a huge success. The game's combination of fast arena combat and battle royale hit all the right notes. After a short down period before launch, Hyperscape has now officially released with its Season 1 patch, and more importantly, the game is finally available on consoles with the Xbox One and PS4 both being supported. There's no mention of a Nintendo Switch release yet, but knowing Ubisoft, there's no doubt Hyperscape will be coming to that platform sooner rather than later. Overall, this is more great news for an already great FPS game. But time will tell if it can hold a player base against the juggernauts of Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone, and Valorant. Now, Phantasy Strike is a game that you guys might not have heard about, but it's most definitely something that you should put on your radar. Phantasy Strike is a simple to pick up, but incredibly complex fighting game that was voted one of the best fighting games of 2019. Gameplay wise, it strays away from the norm, removing crouching and simplifying combos, making it easier for beginners, but those frame perfect attacks make it a joy for the competitively inclined. Great graphics, a roster of fighters, what's not to love? Well, my friends, on the 21st of July 2020, Phantasy Strike went free to play on a huge amount of platforms, including the PS4, Nintendo Switch, PC, Mac, and Linux, the last three being via Steam. The game also offers crossplay integration between these 5 systems, making this one of the most accessible free-to-play titles out there. And also, this isn't a fake free-to-play launch. Every character in this game is now free-to-play and you don't have to pay for any of them. This means that all players are on the same level and nobody has an advantage, and that overall is an amazing system that many gamers will appreciate. If you guys are interested, make sure to go and check Phantasy Strike out. Before moving on to some new games, let's quickly talk about the latest games available in the Epic Games free-to-own section. Right now, the main one you want to know about is Remnant from the Ashes. It's a third-person role-playing third-person shooter released August last year, and it's got some crazy reviews with a very positive rating on Steam. If you want to check it out, it's now available on the Epic Games Store from now to the 21st of August. The other game available during that period is the Alto Adventure, an indie adventure game. Well, what about the week after? Well, for that, we've got Enter the Dungeon and God's Trigger, with the latter actually being a completely new title launching on the 21st. So overall, a great selection of games to go and claim, so make sure you get onto it. Next up, let me give a quick mention to the game that is taking everything by storm right now, and that's Fall Guys. The minigame styled Battle Royale title is an addicting experience, perfect to play and also watch, as Fall Guys has been taking over YouTube and Twitch. The reason it gets a mention here is because of its launch method on the PS4, as it's a free download for all PlayStation Plus members this month. This is a huge way to launch the game and resulted in the PlayStation player base reaching 8 million in only a few days. Add on the huge amount of people playing on the PC, and it's obvious that Fall Guys is a perfect example of how to utilize free downloads to get your game out there. A very quick mention that Phantasy Star Online 2 is now on Steam, a rather old anime-styled MMORPG that has a very considerable and dedicated community. After being on the Microsoft Store for far too long, developer and publisher Sega decided that this game would be a better fit for the Steam store, and the community definitely agrees. Now, it's only been on Steam for 2 or so weeks, but it has a ton of positive upvotes and many helpful reviews. Perfect for newcomers to the game, and even though it's an older title, it's still definitely worth checking out. Now, I've decided to start a new section where I quickly mention an indie free-to-play game that you guys should check out, and that game for today is Skye. The concept is pretty simple. Fly around in a plane surrounded by a beautiful environment and try to set the fastest time in races. It may not be the new Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's straightforward and works really well, especially since it's made by third-year university students, which is just a huge accomplishment, and I thought it would be a great little game to go and showcase here. Now, a game that you've probably seen is called Rocket Arena, and the reason being is because a ton of YouTubers have done sponsored videos on it, me included. Now, it's a pretty decent game, basically a combination of Smash and a third-person shooter, but it released at quite a steep price of $30 US, which made the barrier to entry really high, especially since they're going for a younger demographic that doesn't necessarily have a lot of money to splash around. Now, over the last week or so, there's been some significant discounting, with free key promotions and 80% of sales happening on Origin to bolster the player base, but there's been rumors that a free-to-play transition may be in the works. Now, given this game is quite fun, it would really be a shame for it to drop off so soon. Now, you can still go and find matches because there's cross-play between PS4, Xbox, and PC, but hopefully there is a little bit of action to go and bolster the player base and really give Rocket Arena a time to shine. Next up, we're gonna go and throw all the way back to an old school free-to-play first-person shooter called Sudden Attack. If you guys don't know this game, Sudden Attack is one of the most popular first-person shooters in South Korea and has grown a cult following. It was also published in North America and Europe many years ago, but due to a dwindling player base, the game was canned and taken off Steam. However, on the 23rd of May, a US-based fan called Fox R launched an online petition on change.org requesting that Sudden Attack be made available on Steam to players in the Americas. As of right now, the petition has 11,000 signatures, which is nothing to sneeze at given how old this game is. This petition got the attention of the Korea Herald, who posted a short article about it. In that article, they included a quote from a Nexon official stating that though Nexon is currently focusing on the domestic market, if Sudden Attack gains popularity, it will consider launching the game on Steam positively. There's no source for this quote, so who knows if it's actually even real, and given that Sudden Attack is such an old game and there's so many really good free-to-play FPS games out there, I don't really think they're gonna bring it to Steam, but hey, I'm happy to be proved wrong. Alright my friends, let's go and quickly talk about Rogue Company. I finally went and played it, and I have to say, it's actually not that bad of a game. I came in with low expectations, and they definitely went past that. And actually, you know, Rogue Company I think is a quite decent free-to-play game. In terms of the core gameplay, initially I was a little bit apprehensive, but when you go and master the movement and the rolling, it actually is a great combo. The movement speed is a little bit slow for my liking, but they're going for the tactical angle, so obviously they've got to slow it down to give it that vibe, so that makes sense. I have no complaints about the combat. It isn't really anything that special. You go and shoot your weapon, people go and drop, but I had a little bit of apprehension about the classes, the characters, because they just looked really one-dimensional and their abilities just looked cookie cutter, just copy and pasted from other games. So overall, Rogue Company is a decent to good game, but it's not spectacular. There's nothing pulling at me and saying, hey, I gotta go and keep playing this. I'm really enjoying it. And you know, if this game was released, you know, 2-3 years ago, I guarantee it would have done it really quite well. But the thing is, you've got Call of Duty Warzone, you've got Valorant, you've got Fortnite, you've got Hyperscape, you've got these insanely good AAA games, free-to-play games out right now, and if you're not going and putting a spectacular game out right now, then you're not going to go and get a huge amount of success. And while Rogue Company is a decent game, I don't think it's going to go and find the amount of success that people go and expect it to have. Now let's get to the news that you have been waiting for, that the multiplayer component of Halo Infinite will be free to play and can be played at 120 FPS on the console. While I don't care so much about the 120 FPS, despite it being a really big achievement, no taking away from that, I'm solely focused on the free to play announcement. It's fairly obvious that Microsoft has seen the writing on the wall. Gamers want free to play titles and they want them now. A paid campaign and a free-to-play multiplayer is the perfect compromise, and I think it's the perfect way to introduce a new generation of players to Halo. Sadly though, Microsoft has announced that Halo Infinite will be delayed to 2021, so we won't be able to go and play it anytime soon. But the fact they're focusing on quality over a very quick release is absolutely fantastic, and we all know that this multiplayer is going to be spot on. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go and smash that like button right now and subscribe for more free-to-play videos. But other than that, this is Undercover Dudes, all the way from Down Under, out.